That's like NASCAR over there.
Yeah.
Dude. Hit me with that Ferrari. Dude, listen to that Ferrari. What's up, saints and sinners?
Welcome to the Confessions of a DIY Musician. We are your hosts, Marina City. I am singer Ryan Argast. I am joined by my two best friends, drummer Eric Summers
And singer.
and guitarist Toder Brennigan.
And singer.
This episode is about the fourth member that you didn't know we had. Unfortunately, you think that they didn't make it, but in fact, that is the reason why we're doing it. Our fourth member is our
Click, click.
laptop. Lappy Toppy.
Yeah, dude.
click,
We're a fake band.
click.
We are a fake band.
We're up here playing
push
karaoke.
buttons.
We're playing karaoke with, yeah. So this episode, we're going to talk about why our fourth member is our laptop, why there are some people who hate the idea of it, why we were so trying not to have this happen until we lost half of the band and then we had to make this happen. And then,
Well, that's it. That's the whole story. The episode's over.
and then also just like the benefits of it and how you can make sure that it is in tip-top shape. We'll probably have a couple different episodes about this because I feel like we can get really in depth with it. But since this show is only a half hour or less, we're going to go in the overall think about it. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start off with Eric since he really is the puppet master of our puppet Lappy Toppy. So
Yeah, dude, I'm the third and the fourth member. So
Yeah.
I may not be first or second.
yeah, he's
But I'm third and
definitely
fourth.
not first and second. Third and fourth member of it. So back in 2011, we were a band. We were a 6-piece band. The lineups have changed since then. This whole show at this point, if you're listening to it, you probably know since the very beginning that this podcast is for people who are starting bands, who are in bands that are trying to improve it, trying to find success as an independent DIY artist, or you are just a fan of us, Marina City, and you want to learn more of the behind the scenes stuff. So you probably know this already, but if you didn't, we were a 6-piece band in once upon a time. Then we were a 5-piece band once upon a time, and then we were a 4-piece band, and now we are a 3-piece. And because of that, we had to get creative on making sure that our sound was as full as possible. But for a long period of time, we were so anti-tracks, so anti anything that was not analog.
When was the first time we started using tracks? Was it around the Crush?
The first time we used tracks was it after Aaron left?
Well, that's for sure.
I think that was like the first time we
But
really used tracks.
Wasn't there some keys patches that were being used? Like even with Matt in the band, I feel like there was still some patches that we had to put in there.
I don't think so.
No, I think
you know what?
No, I think it was
we were running samples, but I was playing them off my sample pad.
That's right.
So
That's
it was
what it was.
a
Okay.
very
We were
it was
doing
like
that
a very
6-piece.
analog approach to tracks where it was like I was essentially like live looping from the SPD.
Yeah.
So it was never like it was never software, it was always hardware, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
For those nerds out there who know what that means. But I would say we really started using tracks properly from a laptop when Aaron, our bass player, left. By the way, I really wish we had like pre-planned, really dramatic, made-up stories about how each person left. Like how we went to 3.
Brian got ate by a shark.
Yeah, dude. It was crazy.
Aaron went to space. He's actually an astronaut now, which is really cool.
Yeah, dude.
Matthew,
I don't know what it is about bass people and being astronauts.
Matthew
love
got
it.
super famous on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I can't do this. He's a YouTube star. Look up Matthew Gaudiano.
Mukbang.
Mukbang. He'd be so upset.
I know. We'd love those guys. They're
really
all
good.
homies.
Yeah.
Nothing bad has happened to them.
That's
They're
not
all
what this.
still-
That's not
they're
what
all
this
still
podcast is about.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
we love them.
You,
That's the only reason why we could joke about this is because we have a really good relationship. I was just talking to Brian literally this morning. So, nice. Anyways, speaking of which, just shout out to them. Brian actually plays in a couple different cover bands. One is Sugar. We are a Fall Out Boy tribute band. The other one is American Idiots. As you can tell, that one is a Fall Out Boy one and one is a Green Day band. He's also starting up an Avril Lavigne cover band. I'm not too sure if that's out yet, but I don't know if I spoiled that or not. But by this time,
busy
hopefully
man.
it's out. Yeah, he's a busy man. They sound great. I didn't get a chance to hear them yet, but they're great. Matt is doing. He plays with a bunch of different people.
he's playing with everybody.
He's your hired gun piano player.
Yeah, if you need a singer keyboardist,
yeah,
he's
your
the
guy. He's doing that more. And then also Aaron, He actually probably writes more music now than he probably did ever, and he's sending me stuff all the time. But he's a papa. He's Papa Aaron now.
He's
at this point. By the time this is all out, I'm sure
man.
he's a dad at this point.
Really?
At this point, when this is out, I'm probably dad as well.
Gosh.
We're having kids literally just a week apart from each other. It's pretty wild. Our daughters, yeah.
You guys racing to the finish.
Yeah. But with that said, going back to it, look, I will just say this. If we didn't have to be a laptop band, we probably wouldn't.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't. And I think we resisted it for so long because having 6 people, we actively said, all right, if there's 6 people in the band, there's no reason we should be using tracks.
Yeah.
Like we have 6 of us working hard on stage to cover everything that needs to be covered. We don't need tracks. So I think that was like why we were so anti-track in the beginning. Now that there's only 3, there's only so much that 6 hands can cover.
Yeah, right.
So it's really like it's not that it makes it easier, though it does.
In some ways.
It makes it possible.
Yeah.
So the way that I personally view tracks, and I know tracks can be like a really controversial hot button issue for a lot of musicians. I feel like tracks are no different than a guitar pedal or, an electronic drum pad. Like to me, it's a tool. It's a technological tool that you can use to help enhance the level of performance that you can give. Yeah. It gives you more sonic possibilities, more options. It is a tool. It is not a crutch. It can be used as a crutch.
Yeah.
But I choose to view it as a tool, and I think we choose to use it as a tool.
The more that we can play live, we will. I mean, that's the reason why we got a keyboard. That's why Eric plays keyboard, Toto plays keyboard. I'll play keyboard sometimes, just trying to stretch that out. It's the reason why they both took up singing and trying to do that. There's a reason why, like, as much as we can play ourselves, we will do that.
Yeah,
however,
we're making sure that we're busy up there.
Yeah. However, that 4th member, it just makes it so much bigger. And in this day and age where it's like, it feels like everyone is so concerned about like how much stage, is taken up. Like, every headliner needs to put their drums on the stage forever and all their equipment. Yeah. They got to put
dummy
their
cabs,
on there and everything else.
You want to talk about fake band? What about fake cabs? Come on,
that's worse than tracks.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's worse than tracks.
It's so nice for us to be able to be like, just the 3 of us go up there with less equipment and be able to give as full of a sound as possible. And look, we created those tracks. And that's another thing is about like why we reimagine our songs a little bit too, is so that even though that you are going to get tracks that's going to play like this, it's not like you're just going to hear the record.
Yeah.
We're going to change some things up. We're going to sing some things a little bit differently. We're going to break it down to give this show a little bit more life than just doing a karaoke band.
Yeah. And the tracks are, I mean, I the way that I built the tracks, and this is probably an entirely different conversation. I made them in a way where we have some flexibility, where we're not a total slave to the tracks. Yeah. If something goes wrong, we can fix it on the fly and adjust. If we really wanted to, we could add vamps and extend sections out. It's not, I essentially, like, I built the tracks so I could play it like an instrument, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you have all these different kind of buttons that loop again. If we screw up, and again, this is also why it's really important if you listen to our past podcasts about reimagining songs and learning those songs acoustic, because, if for whatever reason, our show, we run out of sound, we can't play the way that we intend to play. We're not going to be Ronnie Radke and fall in reverse and not be able to play the set. We'll be like, all right, we can do something different. Yeah. Maybe we'll do an acoustic set. Maybe we'll do something like that.
Could always do an acoustic set.
Yeah, we'll always do something different. And that is where our musicianship lies. But it also, musicianship really shows with these tracks. Yeah. Some of the stuff that we do in it is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Pro musician tip. If you can't play a loud set and you don't want to disappoint your audience, bust out the acoustic set.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the tracks are, yes, they're an integral part of like our main sound and our main set as it is now. But yeah, I mean, having those options to change things up if, God forbid, anything went wrong. Yeah. But I do also think that it takes some skill to be able to work around tracks and to be able to incorporate tracks in an organic way where it's not just a karaoke situation, right? We could really easily just put everything and just play along to our full recording and be faking it up there.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least I would like to think
Yeah.
that if we just stopped playing, people would definitely notice.
Yeah.
They'd be like, wow, this band sucks. They're not listening to our tracks. They're listening to us.
Yeah.
And then, we have some support from the laptop, but it's not, it's not the end all be all.
For sure. And a lot of our tracks are mostly, patches. They're mostly like synths, bass. There isn't any guitar tracks, I don't believe so. I think there might be one guitar track for when I play a solo, so there's something accompanying me.
Yeah.
But for pretty much 100% of we still play our parts, just to be clear.
Yeah.
I will say our laptop is our bass player.
It is our bass player. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly bass player and some keys, in production. But what I will say is that, like, I guess the good thing that works out for us as a band is that we are all, and were also when we were a 6-piece, the lead parts of our instruments. So, you're the lead drummer and you're the lead guitar player and
Varsity
the lead
drummer.
singer. Yeah.
Varsity singer, varsity guitar.
And why I bring that up though is because it's like everyone has moments to shine, and everyone has to, like, if you were the rhythm guitar player and you couldn't play those guitar solos, and we just tracked the guitar solos, that would be pretty lame.
I'd be crushed.
Yeah.
And like if I couldn't sing the leads or whatever, stuff like that,
Right. Yeah.
it would be. We do have some vocals that boost, but only to boost, not to cover.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, Ryan is still the main vocal that you will hear at all of our shows.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and I think where it gets dicey for me is there's a lot of bands who hide behind tracks, which, I don't know. It's a tricky thing because part of me is like, well, that's kind of lame. Personally, the way that I feel about it, if I'm being really sort of conservative on my emotions about it, is I would say, like, I would feel guilty about, like, not working really hard and then having my tracks do all the heavy lifting, you know? And I think that was the important thing that we talked about when we wanted to incorporate tracks, is like, we wanted to make sure that we're on stage working our asses off. There's not a moment where we're like, yeah, I'm just going to sit back and let the laptop take over. You know? Sure, the laptop will play some extended intros while we're prepping some things, but that's, it's background music.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, there is no button that plays the guitar solo.
No.
Or the big note at the end of a chorus.
Those big notes, everything that is important that you hear is us doing it. It's all just like accompaniments. And the one thing that I will say before we take a break right here is that ultimately, if you're like, oh my God, tracks, blah, blah, fuck tracks, the audience doesn't give a shit. Like they don't care. Like, how many times
it's all these,
we've done these tracks and not anybody in the crowd was like, well, I saw those tracks.
I mean, I've seen bands that are like tracked up.
Yeah. Like vocals.
Like big, I'm
not
talking
singing,
big bands who are faking it and the audience doesn't care.
They don't.
And I will admit, like, I feel a little weird when I see it. Yeah. Like, it rubs me the wrong way. And I'm not, again, obviously very not anti-track, but I think there's a sense of like transparency and honesty that you have to bring when you're on stage, right? If you're on stage and you're holding a guitar, the sounds that you hear should be from that guitar. If you're on stage and you're singing, the sounds that you hear should be your singing. And that is the case 100% with us.
Yeah.
We have layers supporting those instruments, but it's not what you're seeing is what you're hearing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
We're not tricking. We're not tricking you by any means. When he plays
we're
piano,
not Motley Crue.
When either of these guys play, when either of these guys play piano, they're really playing piano.
Wait, I do have a really funny story before we take a break. I was on tour with a band who didn't have a bass player as well, and we were also doing tracks, and their bass was tracked. And someone came up to me after the show and they were like, "So what's up with their bass player?" And I was like, "Actually, we don't have a bass player." And they were like, "Wait, what do you mean?" I thought he was like, he just has really severe stage fright and he was just backstage playing bass.
Oh my God.
I was like, yo, that's crazy. Someone actually thought that there was like a bass player backstage.
It's backstage.
They were like, I don't know. I thought maybe like the headlining band was like that was your bass player and they just didn't want to come out before they were
That is
I
so
was like-
funny.
You should have just
I was
played
like,
along
wait.
with it.
I was like, wait, you're telling me that we could tell people we're not a laptop band? We just have extra members backstage.
Yeah, yeah. He has a fever. There's a bucket next to him too. He's on the
feeling
chair
terrible.
playing.
Yeah. He actually zoomed into the show.
That's incredible. The only time I heard someone like ask about it was when Matt was in the band playing keys. People just thought that he was doing all the bass and the keys. And he did do bass on some keys. He did do some of it, but that's funny. Okay, taking a break right here for our sponsors. Our sponsor is, yes, you guessed it, marinacityband.com. Go to marinacityband.com and get all your fixings on all Marina City. Like, go to our shop where you can get mugs and hoodies and t-shirts and sweaters and hats and belt bags and you name it, all right there. Some of those things may already be sold out, so make sure you always checking out weekly to see what is online right there. You can also go there and join our Discord. If you do not have Discord, you definitely should join the Discord. Sign up for it. It's super easy. It's free. And once you're in there, you get to hang out with the whole community of people. You get to do different channels like our venting channel where you can vent about all things that are happening in life that you have no one to talk to about. The Feeling Better channel where you can gloat and you can talk about all the cool things that are happening in life, and different things like the Simulation channel, where in that channel we are doing a little different things that you can get different badges. There's 7 badges in the world that you want to collect. The only way to do that is by finding out all the cool different puzzles and scavenger hunts and different tasks that we give you for that stuff. So get on that Discord. And lastly but not least, definitely make sure that you go and text us. It's the easiest way to find out when we're coming to your city or when we're releasing new merchandise or anything else. When you text us at 815-406-6209, text your name and zip code at 815-406-6209 for you to be on our text line. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our sponsors for today. We're getting better at it.
We got to do it in 5.
We did Juju's at 7, right? That's no big deal. Yeah, just a little 7-8 beatbox flex.
Yeah.
Was that 7-8?
Yeah, dude.
Were you guys
It's
really?
fine.
Look at that. You guys did
You
it.
don't know that?
Yeah.
You're
I
supposed to
wasn't
be
paying
like,
attention. I was trying to focus on what I was doing. And I wouldn't even know even if you
I
did.
did realize about halfway through that I was like, I don't know what Ryan's saying.
Me
Ryan could be
neither.
talking about
I know.
how much we suck, and
Yeah.
I would have no idea.
I'm
It's
so
a lot of
focused.
focus. It's a lot of
He's
focus.
slipping in like I'm about to kick out Toter and Aaron.
Yeah, I know.
And just
I have
just
no
be a full
people-
laptop karaoke band.
If you guys are watching this on YouTube, I have no laptop. I'm just going off the dome on this. So
Off the dome.
That was impressive.
Yeah, dude, you're not running tracks for the commercials.
Dome.
No,
and
no.
we're also not running tracks for these beatbox sessions.
yeah, these are pure 100%.
This is for real.
All right,
skill.
The last thing I wanted to talk about before we clean up on this episode is how, like, just in general, how are we running our tracks? Can we talk about this within like 8 minutes, and then we'll do a whole episode one day about it? But
Yeah,
in general.
and I do want to make sure to let you guys know that I am a massive nerd, and I'm happily to talk to you about this on Instagram if you have any questions. DM Marina City or DM myself personally, whatever. Either way. But yeah, so in short, basically, I'm running off of a program called Ableton Live, which is a music production software. You could use it to record. You could use it to DJ, make beats, produce, whatever. But that is the software that we're using to run all of our tracks. And the great thing about that software is it's basically it's a sandbox to basically do whatever you want. It's a clean slate. From that, obviously we run our tracks and send audio files out into the venue, but we also can run lights. In the future, we could run a video wall. We could,
Oh, really?
We could do whatever we want.
I didn't know that.
we can even run his effects, right?
Yeah, we could.
Oh.
Yeah, we can change guitar effects. We can change anything. We could.
Would you look at that?
You literally won't have. That's what Orphan the Poet does.
Oh,
they don't
shit.
even have. They don't have anything on the stage
That
with
is
it. It just
true.
changes.
It just changes throughout.
within each
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
Yeah, you could run vocal processing through it, so we could add reverb to Ryan's vocals.
Definitely want
Yeah.
to do that.
If we
eventually.
wanted to be another, or like take our fake band status even further, we could run autotune.
Oh, yeah. That is true.
Oh yeah, we could
Yeah,
T-paint
that's
it up, man.
Oh, yeah.
We could have it grocery shop for us. It's pretty wild.
Wow.
It'll do whatever you want.
Can you tell us the stock market?
It can tell you stock market futures, dude. It's awesome.
Oh man.
No, but it's a really great software. It is. I was gonna say it's really intuitive. It's not. It's basically you have to learn how to code. Is pretty much it's the equivalent of that.
I'm glad you know how to do that.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time asking questions and watching YouTube videos and working on it, picking at it. But yeah, so basically in short, that's the program that we're running on my computer. It goes into an interface that sends the audio signal out to us and into the venue so everyone can hear it. So we're able to send out like up to 12 different signals. We're only sending out 6 right now, but we could go up to 12. Yeah, that's sort of like the Cliff Notes version, I guess. Am I missing anything?
And then okay, so we do it through Ableton, but the IEM.
Oh, yes.
Like,
wait. Oh, you're talking about the whole IEM rig.
well, I mean, maybe go around like how this actually like works out. How do we actually get it how do you get the sound to the venue? And how do we get it so that we can play with it?
Yeah, so our basically, okay, so to go a little bit further in depth, we're sending 6 different signals out from my laptop out through an interface, right? Which basically that interface splits everything up.
And what is the interface?
So the interface it's called a Play Audio 12. Super useful, relatively inexpensive piece of equipment if you're interested in this kind of stuff. So right now we're able to send out percussion tracks separately. We have a separate bass tracks line. We have a separate like guitar and synth, all the other mid instrumental layers. And then we have background vocals that are getting sent out. And those all go to the front of house of the venue. So that basically means that we have control over each of those elements. And then also separately, the venue has control of all of those elements. So if they want less bass, they can turn down the bass and it won't turn down the percussion or the vocals or the guitar, or, whatever.
They're all individual.
Yeah, they're all individual and independent. We're also sending out a click track line for us and then also a cues line.
How did you make the cues?
How did I make the cues? So first of all, what a cues line is it basically it's a little voice that tells us when sections are about to change. So like it's particularly useful when Ryan's kind of vamping in the intro of a song and being like, how you guys doing? Yada yada. I'm the greatest person to ever walk the face of the earth. This next song's called Money.
And then this is all in our
ears.
ears. The crowd can't hear this. This is all in our ears.
So then in our ears, we have a voice that goes, intro, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it'll kind of count in each individual section of the song. And I recorded those myself and then pitched them up in Ableton. So
why pitch them up?
So I made it so it's a little chipmunk voice, and we all like chipmunks. No, the real reason is because I didn't want my regular speaking voice to be like in everyone's ears all of a sudden, like I'm right behind you guys, being like, "Hey guys, chorus 1, 2, 3, 4," and you guys are like, "What? I thought Eric was behind the drums. What is happening?"
Oh yeah, your very sultry voice for that. Hey Ryan, it's time to do that chorus.
Well, I did think about whispering it. I was like, what if I went chorus 2, 3, 4?
Well, I think
that does also help you though. Like when your voice is high like that, it also helps you catch it.
Exactly.
In the middle of the craziness of the set.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just because it's so stark. Yeah. And it's so like, that it's so much easier to hear it and know that this is not part of the song.
Right.
And it's interesting because that's another thing that I've heard people talk about as like another cheating aspect. But to me, I think it's not
cue?
like, it's not like, people kind of have a weird feeling about cue tracks. And personally, I feel like I'm super down with cue tracks because that tells me that the tracks are running properly. We're lined up okay. It's not that I need a cue for the chorus.
Right.
Although I will admit that if I have a gig that runs tracks and it's like a super quick turnaround, I will totally use cue tracks as a crutch.
Yeah.
But for our situation, obviously we know our songs backwards and forwards. We've been playing them forever. Yeah. We know where the chorus is. but it's just a good thing to know that like, okay, everything's running smooth, everything's fine, we're good, we're on target,
Everything's lined up.
And if God forbid something goes off and that cue track tells me that we're off, then I know, okay, I need to make an adjustment and realign everything on the fly. So it's just like a helpful little fail-safe thing that I've put in.
And this is all these different things that you can hear. I mean, we're talking about general footnotes on these things, but how much time and effort and practice all of these are, that as much as it sounds like it's cheating, we're just trying to sound and be the best we absolutely can be. So like with the
it's a crazy amount of work to do.
It's crazy amount of work. We're still like just on this podcast, we're like, oh, we could do that. Like we're still building things out. It wasn't like, oh, we'll just do that now and I never have to play. It's like, oh, how can we make this better so that the audience is having a great time, and how we can just sound better and better. And I feel like sometimes people care about things that do not matter. Like no audience member gives a shit if there's a cue, but what they will give a shit is that if you just fumble the bag.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, fuck,
I will also say, just for fun, that I also will throw in like little joke cues in our ears.
Yes.
So like,
especially
like during
YouTube.
Yeah, during like long build-ups, I'll throw in like a meme. Like the one that's been in our ears for a while is that kid that goes, "Have you ever had a dream where
you also, Aaron, our old bass player, made a message or said a message in our ears once that was really goofy.
Yeah.
And so right before the show starts, like while the show is starting, while we were on stage, we started just hearing this completely rambunctious, ridiculous message in our ears that we're trying not to laugh. And
you know what? I'm going to do this now because I've wanted to do this forever. If you want to make us laugh on stage, send us a voice note of you saying something, anything you want. You have 20 seconds and we'll put it in our ears during a show, and I'll put it in the track, and none of us will hear it until we're on stage.
Yeah.
So I do it because it's really funny to watch everyone try and keep a straight face when I have just chaos in their ears.
Chaos.
So yeah, you can have little inside jokes. It's fun. Tracks are the best.
Have some fun, guys.
We are nearing our half-hour mark, so we're going to start ending it right here. But I do think that this is going to be an episode that we're going to explore more on later in future episodes. So if there are questions where you didn't feel like you got answered here, but you really want to pick Eric's brain more, I said Eric because Toto and I are just like, yeah, that sounds great. That's how it works. Okay. But please email questions at thecrush@marinacityband.com. That is our fan club email. The great way to connect with us via email is thecrush@marinacityband.com. But if you do want to hire us for a show or for a house show, maybe for your graduation, for your wedding, or maybe you're part of a college that was like, hey, I want to bring these guys and talk to my college for their music business programs, or just having us play, hit us up at management@marinacityband.com. That's management@marinacityband.com. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you share this video. Tell people about our podcast. It goes a long way and helps a lot. So we will see you next time. Thank you guys so much. Adios.
Peace.
Bye-bye.